one deal is making you the average salary of someone in the US off of one deal. You can basically cheat code this, skip the line, go from 0 to 6-figure entrepreneur in literally one deal, get everything up and running. And the best part is it's almost as much on autopilot as having 5 units. Having 25 units is almost the same as having 5 units in terms of actually running operations.
All right, welcome to Airpreneur, where we talk about how we scaled our own Airbnb portfolio to well over $1 million in less than 2 years.
Yep.
Achieved complete financial freedom, didn't buy any properties, did it all through arbitrage and co-hosting. And this is one of my favorite topics. Today is entirely about how to scale fast. The biggest benefit of Airbnb arbitrage and co-hosting, in my opinion, is the fast scalability, because we're not buying property. I don't need another $50K for that next deal. But let's just talk about the fundamentals of how to move fast and land multiple deals.
Sure.
So could you talk us through what the first 3 to 6 months of our journey looked like?
Well, first, I just want to define what is actually scalability. Like, what is scalability? Scalability in Airbnb is basically at what rate and pace can you acquire new profitable generating deals and have them turning a profit as quickly as possible. So basically, how fast can you make as most amount of money as possible before you run out of capital or you run out of deals? Like, what is the quickest way to do that? So when we initially started, we focused on single-family homes. So basically, we found single-family homes that landlords were looking to rent to long-term tenants, and instead of renting to long-term tenants, we had them rent to our short-term rental company, and we would profit anywhere from $700 on the low end to $1,200, $1,300 on the high end, on average over the course of the year per property. And it was great, but if we could go back in time, I think we'd probably do things a little differently, because it's a little slower. Because when you're doing single family homes, you're getting at most one house at a time, which means I have to talk to probably different landlords, 10 different landlords if I want to scale to 10 properties in order to consistently add them. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of setup. If you could find a way where you could land 10 deals at one time compared to having to get 10 individual deals, well, then clearly that math adds up to you scaling a lot faster.
Yep.
And so how did we make that transition, and what are we doing and focusing on now to just only scale big projects?
Yeah, so we pivoted our strategy over the course of the last several months to basically focusing on large luxury apartment deals. Right now, if you've heard of Airbnb arbitrage before, you've watched other gurus and things like that out there, you're not new to the idea of taking multiple apartments in a building and leasing them all, arbitraging all of them, and listing them all on Airbnb. But I will say, being part of other mentorships that focused on that type of stuff, a lot of people struggled to land those deals, and a lot of people struggled to do them well. And I realized that the apartments work, and they work really well, and they're very profitable. As a matter of fact, Adam and I, our jaw almost hit the floor when we saw 7 apartments, our first 7 apartments that we almost acquired accidentally. We weren't even focusing on them. Our first 7 apartments last year alone profited $90,000. Just those 7 units. Nothing. I'm not even talking about the rest of the portfolio. Just those 7 units. So we were like, okay, we've got something here, and that's why we're doubling down on that strategy. But now, why did those apartments do well? And I think that apartments offer something that houses don't, which is they're in a high rise, which are typically, geographically located in the more prime areas of a city or a metro area. And you've got location and you've got amenities built in most of those buildings. You've got gyms, pools, saunas, rooftops, bars sometimes, and restaurants.
Yep.
And the thing is, now you're attracting longer term guests, you're attracting the more midterm rental, the corporate travelers, the nurses, etc. And there's more opportunity to book more people for longer periods of time, which overall lower your costs and increase your profits, right? Now, why do you think other people that have tried to get into the apartment scaling route, especially from complete zero as a beginner, why do you think they failed?
Because the building comes up to them and says, hey, who else have you worked with?
Yep.
And can you show me your business bank accounts that you can actually pay for 5 of my apartments, that you can actually pay the $12,000 a month per rent that you're about to be taking on? And their answer is, well, this is my first one.
Yeah.
So no, I can't. Or like, well, I'm going to figure it out, and then they don't get the deal, or they're intimidated by it. So you have to have a process in place of how to do this properly so that you can scale. And but when you do that properly, and we'll go into that in a second, Vince can break it down. The math here is just so much better. even if you get 5 units, they're probably going to make, with all factors considered, like $1,000 per month per unit, if not more. That's $60,000 per year off of one deal that takes like 2 weeks to get set up, max. So one deal is making you the average salary of someone in the US off of one deal. So in 3 months from zero, if you do this properly, you can have your first deal making you $60,000 a year. And for most of you guys, could probably just quit your jobs right then and there to pursue scaling this further. And that's what's so magical about it, is that not a lot of people do have those skill sets to actually understand how to do all of that, because it's not as simple as a single family home, but it's way more profitable when you do it right.
Yeah, and you get the bug too. Like a couple of our students, they launched. We had a couple different students. They launched like 8 units, 9 units, 10 units in the Northeast. And after they got that deal, they were like, "Oh my god, like I want to do that again." You know, because it's just a stupid, nonsensical, like emotional answer, but it's just cool. It's just fun. It's like you immediately just went to like a 6-figure portfolio in real estate. You're launching these units in like a big apartment complex.
One deal.
But here's the other thing. The other reason why I think people have failed, because again, we've been in other mentorships that focus exclusively on apartments, and we've seen other students go that strategy and not have a lot of success. One of the other reasons is I think a lot of people just take any deal they can find. And they're just like, the second a building says yes, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait to do it." And they just take the deal and they move forward. When in actuality, I do think with apartments specifically, the quality of the units matter, the location matters, the amenities matter, right? And obviously, just like regular houses, analysis is very important, right? So just understanding what the numbers are of the deal you're about to take. We never really get worried about the numbers on a deal because we know how to analyze them. We know what to look for. We predict exactly how much they're going to make. So, but yeah, these are fun deals. And just like Adam said, one deal of at least 5 apartments, you just literally created a $50,000 to $70,000 cash flowing portfolio off of a single deal. That's it.
And honestly, if you do this properly, and like if we could go back in time and redo it with what we know about business credit and operations and softwares and team, you could take a 15-unit deal off the bat, jump to $150,000 a year. Like, you don't have to start with 5. Like, you could, if you're really ambitious, you could go right to a 10-unit deal, 15, 20, 20-unit deal. We just got offered another 6 units because once you have a building that you work with, they're going to keep offering you units. We got offered 6 units. They also are building a new building, and they already offered us an entire floor. I don't even know how many units that was. 15, 20? I don't know.
Yeah.
They already offered us an entire floor on
60.
another new building that's literally being constructed, that they're always like, "I want to work with you guys. I want you guys to take one floor of this building when it's up and running." So you have one relationship, one building. They usually own other buildings. You're set. They're going to keep giving you deals. You don't have to like grind it out super hard to meet all these landlords and get all these deals and get all these contacts. You can basically cheat code this, skip the line, go from 0 to 6-figure entrepreneur in literally one deal, get everything up and running. And the best part is it's almost as much on autopilot as having 5 units. Having 25 units is almost the same as having 5 units in terms of actually running operations when you do it properly. That's the other thing that people don't do in other mentorships we've been in. They don't teach you how to do this operations properly. They like give you some templates, they give you some things, but they don't teach you how to be a leader, how to be a team, how to maximize revenue, how to make sure everybody's doing everything so that it actually is automated. Because trust me, if you have 25 units and you don't know how to run a team, it's not automated. It's actually a whole other job. It's another job that you're probably working a ton on, and you're probably not going to be happy because you thought it was going to be automated and it's not automated. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's because you just don't know what you're doing. But if you do it properly, it's not only a lucrative 6-figure business like a cheat code, but you're doing the building a service. You're welcome short-term guests. The platform's doing all the marketing for you, and it's completely automated. It's just like a win-win-win-win-win altogether. If we could start back in time, I have no doubt our portfolio, we would have scaled to the size we're at in like half the time.
You know, here's the other wild thing is like I was about to say it requires a bit more cash up front, and it's a little bit like the barrier of entry is a little bit higher because you need more cash to start. But in all actuality, if you're leasing 10 apartments, right? Because again, the concept of arbitrage, the only cash that I'm going to pay out of pocket is the security deposits, right? And by the way, if you're taking 5 to 10 apartments, that security deposit is definitely going to be negotiated down. So now the barrier of entry, you know, if you're taking one house, you have that one security deposit of like $2,000. But if you're doing this apartment strategy, then your barrier of entry is now you need like $10,000 to $15,000. But even in the grand scheme of things, That's not that much. Like what's the alternative? If you didn't do this, then you're going to buy an investment property. Guess what the barrier of entry is on that? $50,000, right? This is requiring $10K in cash. $10,000, and then I just finance the rest via that business credit to fund all that furniture, which is going to be like $30K, $50K, whatever. So, yeah, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, like, if you're interested and you're wondering, how do I get, like, more information on this concept? Like, how is it actually being funded? How's it broken down? Like, what is the ROI in math? Like, how do you get $1,000? Why is it not 500? Like, how do I know where to do this? Like, that type of training, like that overview of understanding. We're going to have a link below that's called Elite. And basically, Elite is our high-level mentorship where we work with folks to help them scale in apartment buildings. And we basically handhold them and we help them negotiate the deals. It's a whole list of things. But if you click the link below, it's going to basically walk you through a more in-depth training on what we're talking about. So if you're interested in it, you can go even further in the rabbit hole to better understand how this is, to make sure it's the direction you want to go. Because if you don't go this direction, you can always go the slower but still good direction of working with single-family homes and still doing short-term rentals. Or if you're ambitious, you have some capital and you're like, I'm just ready to go. I just want to know it works. Watch that training below. It'll pretty much walk you through everything you need to know.
Yeah. So let's just talk real quickly about like what you're totally new to this. You know, you want to get an Airbnb arbitrage, but you're like, do I go houses or do I go apartment scaling? Right. So here's what I would recommend. Right. If you're person A, you have at least $10,000 to $20,000 to take on a large deal. You want to basically cut out, you want to fast track your ability to get to a 6-figure cash flowing portfolio. I would go to apartments. Just be, on day one, you're going to jump right into the big leagues. You're going to jump right into taking on a 6 to even 7-figure project. So just be prepared. The rollout's going to be a little more intense and the build out's going to be a little bit more intense. But once you do that, you're now like, you just fast tracked yourself to, the NBA, right? And it's totally doable. And then through a process like the Elite mentorship that we have, we'll even help you negotiate and build the relationships with those buildings, right? So you don't have to worry about the whole like, well, I'm a newbie, why would they trust me? That's the whole purpose of working with us, right? Now, if you have less than $10,000 in cash, right? If you have like $5K or less, I would say like anywhere from like the 2 to like 5, 6, 7K range to start a business, that's when I would consider start with houses. And that's not a bad thing, right? As a matter of fact, you can land those deals a lot quicker because I only have to sell the one landlord. If he says yes, I roll it out. So you don't have to roll out this big 10-unit project. You only spend a weekend there. You roll out that one house and it'll cash flow you 1 to 2K per month. And you can repeat that. I mean, keep in mind, guys, we did that for our first 20 properties, was just do the single family home route. And you can absolutely make your first 5K per month in cash flow by doing that. But it'll take you 6 months instead of 1 month to do that one apartment deal. But that's okay. You get to that first 3, 4, 5K per month. Now you have experience. Guess what? You can go to the apartment complex and land that deal no problem now because you have experience. You can talk the talk, walk the walk. So, any other thoughts on?
Yeah, so look, bottom line, if you're interested in learning more in depth in that process, click the link below that says Elite. Otherwise, if you want to see what a 36-unit build out looks like, we're going to have the video like right here. So go ahead and click that video and watch that one as well, because it'll give you literally behind the scenes and exactly what a 36-unit build out of this magnitude of apartment buildings looks like.
Yep. And if you're listening to this on like Spotify and there's not a direct link below or anything like that, just go to www.airpreneur.com/elite-mentorship, right? Elite-mentorship, and that page will walk you through exactly what we're talking about. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. So if you are someone looking to create your own job-quitting Airbnb business and you want to scale it to 6 figures and beyond, then you're going to want to join our Facebook group. It's totally free, and all you have to do is tap the link below to join it at no cost. So we go live in there twice per week and to coach you on all of the latest insights, tools, and resources that we use to create our own business. So that way you could start earning your first few $1,000s a month on Airbnb.